Hello, Misfits, and welcome back for the MRL action. It is, of course, Thursday night, and you know what that means. It is time for Tier 1, and who else to kick us off? Mikcow. Let's talk about it. Austria, such a circuit. You had some experience around here today. What are we getting into?
Hello everyone. Greetings from the land down under, as always. Hope you're all having a wonderful evening. Yeah, Austria is quite the circuit. We have three pretty substantial GRS zones. We're going to be hopefully seeing a lot of overtaking if the race remains dry, but we're also going to see, hopefully, at least a lot of action if it's going to be raining as well. Yes, my race here this morning was very interesting. Lots of changeable conditions, so it's definitely possible here in the mountains, and I can't wait to see what our Tier 1 drivers have in store for us today. It's a very fast circuit, very short circuit, so we're hopefully going to see a lot of fast and close lap times and some close wheel-to-wheel action as well.
Yeah, most definitely. And of course, one thing to talk about is it is round 11. We've already been through 10 races for Tier 1 action. Australia, Bahrain, Vietnam, China, the Netherlands, Spain, Monaco, Azerbaijan, Canada, and now most recently the French Grand Prix in Le Castellet. Now we're here in Spielberg, the Austrian Grand Prix, and I am extremely excited because this means that we are just about to head into the second leg of our season here. Look at this. We have the British Grand Prix, the Hungarian Grand Prix, followed by Belgium, Italy, Singapore. You have Russia, Japan, the US, Mexico, as well as Brazil. Who could forget about that one? And you have another than the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix to finish out the season. Now, let's take a look at the teams here for Tier 1. We've gone through a couple of changes. Of course, Maya was supposed to drive in the Mercedes, but it's Becky B that took over there now, and it's Brainstew and him for the Mercedes team. You have Alex Bitto and Hyper for the Ferrari squad. That's Zamis and Swifty over at Red Bull with Yoda and Rackety for McLaren. Yoda is currently your championship leader, but we'll get to that in a second. You have Remco Van Putten there with BTFU for Renault. Shenjay and Freeware for AlphaTauri with Fubar and Neon Rays over at Racing Point. It's Nigel and John over at Alfa Romeo with Henners and Astrodate for Haas, and that's King and Custom rounding out this grid with the Williams team. Now let's take a look at the standings. As we said, Yoda 126 points right now, a 12-point lead over Shenjay, who's in P2, and his teammate Freeware is a significant chunk down on him. 40 points the difference between second and third right now. But if you look at the standings, it is extremely tight in and amongst this grid, and it can go either way. Of course it is. An AlphaTauri-led championship. You have the Mercedes squad there in second, with the McLaren guys rounding out the third slot on the constructors' standings. Now, Brainstew, following France round 10, he's going to be receiving 2 penalty points. Now, Van Putten is going to be taking a 3-point penalty, and he has been demoted to 13th, and that promotes John to P12. Now, Mikcow, if I'm not mistaken, we're seeing a qualifying ban from Mr. Remco Van Putten today. Is that not correct?
That is correct. So both Remco Van Putten and Brainstew will need to serve qualifying bans for amassing 12 penalty points on their license, so they will be on the back row of the grid. 2 drivers that have a lot of pace, but also can be quite impatient at times. So I'm curious to see how they make their way through the field, as we have all 20 drivers in the lobby, and we'll be getting underway shortly. I believe there is only one reserve, and that is some idiot in the Racing Point, filling up that seat next to Fubar. This evening.
Not a reserve that's going to give anybody any relief, is what I'll say to that one.
No, he's definitely looking to perform, as he always does. But as we're heading into the race lobby now, this is it. Round 11, Austria. After this, we'll officially be halfway through the season, and I cannot wait for this second half of the season with the rest of the European stint.
Oh, I'm extremely excited, especially for Silverstone. A lot of the drivers, I think, in this game release, at the very least I have, maybe it's that I managed to finally get a wheel, but I have really been enjoying Silverstone in this release. So I think a lot of the drivers have been sharing that sentiment, so we'll see how they want to go around there. But of course, Mikcow, the Red Bull Ring, we have 20 drivers. I'm going to go through it real quick. We have Becky B, Van Putten, of course, BTFU, Swifty, Yoda, that's Zamus, King, Rackety, we have Hyper, Custom, Some Idiot, Freeware, Nigel, Henry, Jean, Fubar, Astrodite, Shenjay, Alex Bido, and Brainstone. As you said, Mikcow, Some Idiot, the only reserve on this grid today. In for Neon Rays.
Yep, so lots of points on offer today. We're just waiting for the drivers to load into the session. Of course, us as spectators get a little bit of a head start on that. Hopefully we won't be waiting too much longer. As I see Swifties put the clutch in, and I see some cars hitting in on track. See Henna's in that lovely white Haas car making their way out. And it is clear skies for quality, it would seem.
Now, if any of the drivers are able to get us a report on the weather, that would be greatly appreciated, as it's going to be none other than Henry in the number 45 Haas coming up through down turn 2 and now into third turn here. And he'll be the first driver, it would seem, Mick, to set a lap in Spielberg.
Yep, Remco Van Pruden retiring the pits very early. Must have loaded his setup, and then he is serving his qualifying ban, which is always lovely to see. Always love to see the drivers following the rules. Gives the stewards a little bit less work to do after the race. I have gotten a weather report from a little Tweety bird. They have said that there is a forecast of some rain towards the end of the race.
Oh, yes. We saw it in China, Mikcow, for Tier 1. I want to see it again. We know how that can really shake up the finale to a race, and what a better race to have it around than, of course, the Red Bull Ring here.
So it should be smooth sailing for qualifying. So these drivers going flat out, trying to set the fastest lap time that they can. And then, yeah, apparently it's going to rain towards like the last 5-10 laps or so. I don't know, the game is telling them plus 45 minutes during the race. But it could come earlier or it could not come at all. That's kind of the beauty about weather forecasts. They're not always 100% accurate.
No, definitely not. Henry right now coming down into turn 4. He is the first driver on a flyer here. And as a result, of course, he'll be the first time on the board. And the big question is, what's it going to be?
Yeah, 3-5 into turn 6, using all of the curb on the exit. Just keeping it nice and flowing. Careful with the inside curbs of 7 and 8. Don't want to use too much of the curb on 8. It can ruin your lap time. Heading into the final 2 corners now, using a lot of curb there for turn 9, and a lot of curb as well for turn 10, just using all the track available, carrying as much speed as you can. It's a 103.1 to start us off, which isn't too shabby. That is quite a strong opening lap from the Haas driver, so very nice to see.
Zamus now next across the line, Mikcow. It's going to be a 103.4 from him. The AlphaTauri of, I believe that's Freeware next. No, it was
that
his teammate. And Freeware's invalidated his run.
Shenjay, the first driver to break into the 102s with a 1 minute 2.7.
Some idiot now.
So very nice opening lap from him. Some idiot coming across the line with a 103.1. And Henna's, after that amazing qualifying time, has picked up a 5-place grid penalty for colliding with the McLaren of Rackety. It looks like it might have been around turn 4, and Rackety is missing that right end plate, so it was a hard enough hit.
John shoots into P4 here.
That.
And Becky, a 103.5. He's 6th quickest so far. Astrodite, a 104 flat.
I'm expecting great things from this grid, Strifium. We remember Bahrain all the way back to the start of the season, where I think it was 1st to 18th were separated by a single second.
Tier 2 today,
Right
Mikcow, was just the same.
Yeah, if Tier 2 is the same, Tier 1 where it's a lot more competitive, is going to be quite the spectacle. Freeware will jump alongside his teammate on the front row so far with a 103.02. So a 10th faster than some idiot.
Custom invalidated his lap, and a lot of drivers on out laps are in the pit lane right now, and the majority of drivers I think are going to be coming into the pit lane that are out right now. Yoda
starting his first flying lap, heading through turn 1. He has the Williams with S kick coming out. It's a little bit of a toe, but it isn't going to really do too much. We'll see what the current championship leader is able to muster. Chenjay has set the pace, the 1 minute 2.7 thus far. Still lots of time left in the session, of course, but that is a very, very strong lap time nonetheless. Yoda making his way down into turn 4, fourth gear, just trying to keep the car nice and stable, nice and tidy through there for the Albanian. Turn 5 completely flat into turn 6. Probably not using as much of the track as he probably hoped, but he is able to keep the speed up fairly well. Makes his way through sector 3 now in the final 2 corners using all the track available. Gets really nice rotation from that papaya orange McLaren. DRS open, what's the time going to be? It's a 103.14, which is good enough for P4 at the moment. So a little bit of time left to find for the McLaren driver, but it isn't a bad first attempt, to say the least.
No, definitely not. Taking a look at a driver who's on a flyer right now, Nigel. Someone who's shown great speed through the season. He's coming through in the Alfa Romeo. What's the time going to be at the line? It's P2, a 102.8, and he is now in the front row with the second sub 103 time here, Mikcow.
That's a very, very strong time. Only half a tenth in it between him and Chenjay, who's, speaking of Chenjay, starting his next flying run as we speak.
Yeah, another driver who's shown great pace this season, King in the Williams. He's coming down through turn 7.
Will be invalidates at turn 8, I think. That could just be on my end, but we'll wait and see. Through turn 9 and 10.
I think you may be correct. I have it as well. What will
See
the
what it
time
is when
have
it
been?
comes across the line. And it wasn't valid. It was 103.19. That would have been good enough for P8. Oh my goodness, these times, Strif. Look at these times. These are absolutely incredible.
These guys are having a good time right now in quali right now. Chenjay, as you said, he's flying. He's looking to better that 102.7.
He's down by 100th. So basically nothing in it between his banker lap and his current lap. He's really attacking turns 9 and 10. Is it going to be enough to get an improvement? It is. It's a 1/10 improvement for the AlphaTauri. So we have now gone from a 102.7 to a 102.6. So Racing Point starting their lap. That's the reserve of some idiot.
Ooh, Alex
No
Bitto.
stranger to front of the grid.
On the exit curve out of 9. He took too much. It was a 102.7, Mick. And unfortunately, the stewards threw it out the window.
Yeah, he was having this issue this morning when reserving for the OCE grid as well. Austria notorious in this game now for lots and lots of track limit warnings and penalties. So
Just
while
saw
we
custom
don't
cross.
like...
Sorry to interrupt there. 103.1 from the Williams driver.
Yeah, as I was saying, we don't particularly like to decide the race on penalties, but in the end, you need to keep it within those white lines to just avoid putting yourself on the back foot should there be a safety car towards the end of the race, which is possible. It has happened a lot in the past. A very fast circuit, so normally when there is a collision of some sorts, it is quite a big one.
Definitely.
Some idiot now came across the line as the third driver into the 102s. It's a 102.9 for the Racing Point. So that's only a 10th in it between him and Nigel, and between himself and Freeware as well. These times are coming in thick and fast. See who else is on a lap. Currently yet to set a time. Looks like Zamus will be starting his lap fairly soon, and one of the Alfa Romeos will be starting their lap soon as well. I believe that's Nigel coming across the line now.
Presently on board with Rackety in the McLaren. He's just exited out of turn 3. No time set from him just yet, and hope to see what he's able to do in comparison to his teammate.
Well, if going off the 100% Endurance Series, which was held quite a while ago now, just after game release, Learnt a lot since then. Rackety seems to be pretty good around here. He's had a bit of a shaky season thus far, bit of a quiet season at that.
Ooh.
And as I said, he invalidates almost immediately, cutting too much of that inside curb at turn 9. Yeah, Rackety definitely one to watch out for. Has shown flashes of pace.
Hyper in the Ferrari now. He's on a flyer. He's just tapped through turn 2. He's down up into turn 3 though. Oh, and he's had a
Ooh,
big
he's
spin.
spun it. Well, he's in a Ferrari Strif, as much as you'd hate to say it.
Yeah, now he has King coming up on the rear.
That's one of the Williams going past him. That's S King trying to set his first lap of the session as well. Looks like Yoda's had a bit of an issue in the pit lane as well. Hopefully he's able to get that one going. S King now. Make his way through turn 6. Carries the speed nice and well. It's a pretty fast sector 2 split, 44.0. See what he's able to do this last section of the lap. Throwing the car in through turns 9 and 10, hoping that you have the grip and tires and have enough downforce on that car. It's a 102.910, 3 milliseconds off his nearest rival there in 3rd place. So he'll be lining up on the 2nd row as of now, and probably with about 6 or so minutes remaining, maybe 7.
Yeah, Freeware on a flyer now. He's going to be flying for pole here. He's very close to it. 4/10 is what he needs to find. Of course, if you're just tuning in, you are here just about to wrap up qualifying for Tier 1 Misfits action. It's round 11. It's the Austrian Grand Prix. Joining me is Mikcow. And of course, if you're new to the channel, hit that follow button because we do this Tuesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, most Saturday. It's just wild how much racing we got going on around here. But of course, if you're liking the cat freeware, everybody has done it, Mikcow. We just saw him do it again there on that exit curb. Invalidation.
You can tell he was pushing the car, the rear end just sort of sliding a little bit, didn't have the grip through turn 9. And then that oversteer, he tried to correct it for the next corner, but then he understeered off the track the tiniest bit, but that's all you need. These track limits, especially around turns 9 and 10, very, very strict.
Ubar coming down through the exit of the final turn. What's the time going to be? It's a P15 lap from him, a 103.7, and we'll have to see if he's able to improve here. He might have time for one more, and that's the one thing about Austria, Mick, is you have time for a decent amount of laps around here to get your time set.
Yeah, you do have enough time to set 4 quali runs in the dry. But another thing to keep in mind about Austria, at least from my experience of it, is that track evolution is a big thing here. You can gain upwards of almost 2.5 tenths. And at a short track like that, like we are here, that is a lot of time.
Oh, most definitely. Zamis right now in the Red Bull, following along with the Red Bull here around their home Grand Prix.
Yeah, currently sitting in P14. 2 and a bit tenths off his teammate in P12. See what he's able to do. Zamis, a driver who has had a very inconsistent season so far, has shown great flashes of pace, but it isn't able to really convert them in the races just yet. But we'll see what he's able to do. He shoots all the way up to P6 with a 103.080.
That was a fantastic improvement out of him.
That was a very, very nice lap from him.
Somebody we haven't seen much of is Alex Bitto.
Yeah, he invalidated that his first run that we were riding on board with a little bit. We'll see what he's able to do on his next attempt. He is slowly running out of time, so he does kind of need to get a lap on the board before he does anything else. So hopefully, and as I say that, he runs a tiny bit wide at the exit of 9. Did that actually invalidate, or is that just my game playing up? No, that actually invalidated his time. That's another 102.7. So Alex Bitto, very, very risky so far. He looks to be still pushing.
I think he's gonna
have enough battery.
I think he put enough in for 2, Mick.
Yeah, I'm just the field light's coming on, so I don't quite know about that. You won't have enough battery to make it all the way around. But lots of cars in the pit lane, the calm before the storm, as it were.
I guess that they do
Just
have a
over
little
10
bit
minutes
more
remaining.
time than us as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they have about a minute and a half more than what we're seeing on screen. Around about that. So they'll have a
Potential to
bit
come
more
in.
time to set their final laps.
In the final laps. Swifty's on a flyer. He's just come out of turn 3. He's in the Red Bull. One of the only drivers out right now on a flyer. Everybody in the pit lane, as you say, Mikcow. The calm before the storm.
Ooh, Alex Bitto. Hello. Even running out of battery towards the end of the lap, he puts in a 1 minute 2.655. So only 100th in it. 12 milliseconds between himself and Chenjay. So very, very close times.
Swifty has come into the pit lane.
Yeah, obviously not happy with that run. Must have been validated it at some point. I think Becky B is the next one who's on a flying lap at the moment. He's making his way through turn 4 towards turn 5 now. Why don't you take us through the rest of this lap, Striff?
Coming through 6. He took a little bit of a spin coming out of 5 there. Coming down through 7 now. Utilizing the curbs on this left section of circuit into this flowing right section. Into 9 we go. And he revs it out up into 8th. Drops it into 6th here, which is something that everybody does. You can maybe take that in 7th. And you can see here he really compromised the exit of that turn, and it's cost him an invalidation, Mick. He's not going to be able to improve on that one.
No, with not a lot of time remaining on the clock, I don't know if he's going to have an opportunity to improve on that. But we'll see what he's able to do. Some idiot now behind him on track, starting his lap. He's getting a little bit of a slipstream from S-King now. Heading through turns 2 and 3. He's 100th down on his personal best first sector at the moment. But still a fair bit of time left in the lap to make up. Up with the gears into 8th gear. Heading towards turn 4. 3rd gear, short up to 4th, trying to minimize the wheel spin.
John's just jumped up into P7. He improved by a 10th. Had a quick look at that.
I was trying to figure out who that was. Freeway coming across the line as well. It will pip some idiot for that 4th position. So some idiot has to keep this lap together. We'll see what he's able to do through turn 9. You can just see the amount of rotation. The car just wants to go, Striff. And that was a very, very nice line through 9 and 10. What's the time going to be? He improves by 200ths. But it isn't quite enough.
That is pushing hard there. King flying by now, and that's going to be Fubar. King invalidated turn 1.
That he did, Striff. But it's both Red Bulls, I think, about to start their lap. Becky B retires from the session.
Oh!
Could be bad, and Zamis and Hyper have come together at the penultimate corner. Hyper there just sitting right on the apex, not quite sure what he was thinking there.
Could be out of
But
fuel.
That has compromised both of their runs. He could have been, yes, that is very, very true. But that has compromised all their runs. So they made their way into the pit lane. It's one of the Renaults now coming through the final corner. That's BTFU. Seeing what he's able to do, currently sitting in P13. What's the time going to be? It's enough to jump into P11 as the checkered flag drops. And Nigel will take provisional pole by 400th of a second with a 102.604. Does Chenjay have a response as he comes across the line? He does. He goes a 10th faster yet again with a 102.5. So Chenjay looks like will be on provisional pole as things stand. Some idiot making his way into the pit lane. And that, I believe, is everyone. Alex Bitto will start his final flying lap. And he will be the last one to set a time as Swifty will come across the line going into P7.
Nicely done from the Red Bull. Shame Zamis wasn't able to get in another run there. He's not going to be thrilled about that in the slightest if we know him at all, Mikcow.
No, definitely a missed opportunity there. Certainly some time left on the table, and considering how close this grid could have been, it is at the moment. A 10th, would have been the difference between him staying in 9th and going right next to his teammate.
Yeah, now talking about flyers, we have one driver left on this circuit who's looking to push the bar here, and it's Alex Bitto, and we know he's got the speed, but he's down on his time through Sector 2. Can he find anything to contest at the very least the front row? He's only 500ths off.
He needs half a tenth strip. He takes a lot of inside curve at turn 10. Seems like a pretty good run. What's the time going to be? And he isn't able to improve. So it will still be third place for the Spaniard. But what a grid, Striff. We are in for a thriller.
Shenjay on pole position, a 102.5. That's Nigel there, lining up next to him in the Alfa Romeo. It's the battle for the Alphas, of course. He was a 10th off on his, and you have Alex Bitto there in third, rounding out your top three, a 102.655 at the time out of the Ferrari. You have Freeware and Some Idiot rounding out your top five, and we'll go through the rest of this grid with you on the formation lap.
16th. First to 16th within the second. Just Fubar and Rackety, the only two who did set a times out of that 1 second window, but not by a whole lot. Fubar only 1.2 and the other 1.3. So very, very close times, which is what you love to see. And with rain forecast for the end of the race, if you missed the start of the stream, there is rain forecast at the end of this race.
Grab your friends.
It'll be, grab your friends. Yeah, it's going to be quite the thriller. We don't know exactly when it's going to be showing up on the circuit, but we are in the mountains, of course, and the weather can change very, very quickly. So these drivers are all going to be on their toes, trying to finalize their strategies, play the rain to their advantage, and we'll see who's able to do it best.
I just want to take everybody back a second to Season 2 before we jump into this formation lap here. Now, Tier 1 around Austria has a little bit of a history, and I don't know if you remember this, Mikcow, but I remember it was me, you, I think, and Ricky Ciardo in the commentary booth, and we had to watch Yoda, your current championship leader, and Zamis, the league founder, take each other out of the race. So there is drama, there is intensity, and there is a story behind some of the racing that's happening here on the circuit today. I just wanted to share it, and I hope to see a little bit more. I mean, a little bit of drama is okay, as long as the stewards aren't too busy.
I mean, we just want to see nice, tight, clean racing. But there's certainly a lot of drama. Some drama can spice things up. There seems to already be some drama on the formation lap as Freeware has spun it around in the middle of the track. So he has to wait for everybody to get by.
Very unfortunate for him. Oh, and he's taking
Freeware
a
has been
DSQ.
disqualified from the formation lap.
Oh, and that's just not what he wants.
So he will certainly be on the back foot almost straight away. With those cold tires, especially from P4, that's going to be quite the challenge.
We're going to go down through the grid once again real quick before we get to the end of this quick formation lap. Shenjay is really gunning it right now. Shenjay on pole, Nigel on the front row next to him. You have Alex in third, of course Freeware in fourth, Samidiot in fifth, King 6th, Swifty 7th, John in 8th, Zamis in 9th with Becky in the Mercedes rounding out your top 10. Yoda in 11th position with BTFU right behind him in 12th. It's Custom in 13th with Astrodite 14th here with Fubar 15th. That's Van Putten in 16th with Henners in 17th, Brainstew, Hyper, and Rackety rounding out the last three drivers on this grid. Only 4 drivers on the grid starting on the medium compound tire, Mikcow.
Yeah, both McLarens, the Renault of BTFU, and the Racing Point of Fubar, as the back end of the grid just slowly making their way around the final 2 corners. Shenjay has been sat on that grid for quite a while now. Hopefully his tires aren't getting too cold. Alex Bitto making his way back into his grid slot, and we will be underway within the next couple of seconds. I can't wait for this drift. Turn 1, turn 3, turn 4. It's going to be chaos.
Well, Mikcow, it's all yours, Mikcow, as I'll follow along as best I can with this action, but I think this is your race to call. Let's have it.
All right, so the 3, 4, 5 red lights are on for us. The lights are out, the cars are revving their engines. We have to wait for the drivers to start moving. And they're off. It's lights out, and away we go. Looks like Shenjay got an incredible start off the line. He's already ahead by 4 or so tenths. Alex Bitto trying to make his way around Nigel to make their way back further down the grid. Somebody looks to get a good run through turn number 1. They make their way up the hill. Red Bull and Alfa Romeo side by side. That is Zamis and Jean a bit further back down the grid. not seeing too many issues now, as they're all sort of going 2 by 2 at the back of the grid. No issues just yet, which is amazing to see. Alex Bitter now fighting with Some Idiot. They're side by side heading towards turn 4. Who's going to be later on the brakes? Looks like Some Idiot trying to make his way around down the inside. Alex Bitter is having none of it though. He's using that battery as he always does, trying to hold on to that position, but it's Chenjay with an absolutely incredible start. He's already pulled 8/10 on Nigel in second place. Meanwhile, a bit further down on the grid, looks like Zamis trying to eye up S-King a little bit.
Yoda.
Remco Van Poon as well. On Yoda, Remco has already run out of that ERS deployment. He's already derated, used too much of that battery on this first lap. He's going to be down on power just for the rest of this opening lap as Chenjay leads to them across the line, already pulling out a second on this first lap strip.
Well, it's been a pretty clean race start here. We've got a real serious exchange coming down into turn 1, and it's King wheel to wheel with Jean right now on the exit out of turn 1, and they're in an absolute battle, and Becky B has just got the front row seat to this action, and Zamis is ahead. Jean looks to the inside. King closes the door and holds that inside line. Becky B round the outside through turn 3. How's he going to go with the traction? Jean still holding in 9th. What battling we're seeing right now. And what a race start it has been. And it is an absolute snake throughout this grid here around the Red Bull Ring. Not a single safety car.
Massive launch down in 15th place. He barges his teammate Henry out of the way there. He's side by side the two Haas's heading to turn 6. This could end up poorly. That's Aphrodite going way, way off into the gravel trap, so he'll be down in 20th place. Very, very unfortunate for him. We're looking just up the grid a little bit. Looks like Yoda and Remco Van Putten still holding station. Remco having a very nice start from the back of the grid. He's already up into 12. So he's done very, very well for himself. And Fubar will be the first to pick up the 3-second time penalty strip.
We have had a massive amount of these cars just locked together here on the opening of this race, and now DRS is coming into play. Hyper's had a big issue. He's lost out to BTFU. Rackety's on the rear, and it's the Ferrari who's falling victim to a potential McLaren overtake. The mediums keeping Rackety back at the moment. Hyper on those red-rimmed softs, but it's a lunge from the McLaren around the outside of turn 3. Is he going to get it done? Good traction still on those softs for the Ferrari, and it's going to hold him there for now, and they both have the DRS on BTFU ahead.
Yeah, meanwhile, Remco Van Putten able to use those soft compound tires to good effect. He's able to get past Yoda for that P11 slot. So we'll see if he's able to make any more ground moving forward as he tries to hunt down the Mercedes of Becky B.
On the inside of Yoda. Mikcow coming through, and he has taken the Albanian for P12, and I don't think Yoda's going to be happy about that because it took me a minute, but I couldn't see that Mercedes until he was in the rear view.
Yeah, Brains too seems to just trying to follow Remco as best he can. Becky B now getting past Jean on the main straight. Somebody now with the fastest lap, so he's obviously found his mojo a little bit, warming up to the circuit with this massive, massive DRS train that extends to the whole field. Looks like
Red
the two
Bulls
Red Bulls are going for a switch. Swifty on the outside will let Zamis go, but he will have the DRS. Is he going to fight back his teammate? He's using that overtake. He actually might. Zamis already running out of battery, which isn't great signs for him, but he is up in for P6 at the moment. Swifty going to try and do his best to allow some room for his teammate to work with.
Wow.
Is coming into effect there.
Yeah, I definitely think so. Zamis running some good pace around here at the moment. We'll have to see how he goes later on. He currently has 1.3 to make up to Freeware ahead. And there's still a train following behind Shenjay. Don't let the Nigel 1.0 fool you. These guys are all tight.
That's a McLaren. That's Rackety going side by side with Hyper through turn 7. Not really entirely sure what happened there, but McLaren has lost a bit of his front wing.
Custom. He was looking at Yoda into turn 1 on the inside. Now he's had a shake coming out of that turn on the exit. And you have Yoda holding in 13th for now as Remco Van Putten and Rainstew on the inside coming down into turn 3.
Collision at turn 3. Well, looks like the two Red Bulls must have come together or something, as both of them were going very, very slowly. And we have the first virtual safety car, and there was a lot of debris on the track at turn 3.
Well, whatever happened there, King 3.4 seconds away from Freeware, and that is not the picture we had 10 seconds ago at all. So whatever happened there, I think the Williams may have been caught in it. I'm not entirely sure, but Freeware ahead of Zamis there. Unscathed by this, but ooh, the damage. We're going to have to take a look at these Red Bulls right now. Swifty missing the front right end plate. Zamis, no damage as far as the eye can tell there, and that's the Mercedes of Brainstew with a good portion of his front right missing, and you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 drivers now into the pit lane under these VSC conditions.
The virtual safety car's staying around a long time. It has been lifted, and Freeware's timed this perfectly. He's going to get some idiot heading into turns 2 and 3, Strip.
Oh, some idiot's not going to be happy about that, and that was real clever out of the German in the Alpha Tower. He's into 4th, and that was such a tight delta he had to hold in order to pull a move off like that.
And meanwhile, just ahead of them between the 2 Ferrari-powered cars of Alex Bitto and Nigel. Nigel falling a little bit back on Chenjay. Currently the gap 1.3 seconds between him and our current race leader. Chenjay in a very, very solid position, but he has to worry about, Nigel has to worry about Alex Bitto behind him. Currently 5/10 the gap. And with that VSC, Alex Bitto has that battery power, so we'll see how long he's able to hold on to that one. But Alex Bitto, a very, very fast driver, even without the battery, so imagine him with the battery strip.
Oh, a little bit of a drift out from Nigel there, and I think that might have cost him. DRS overtaken full utilization. We know how Alex likes to use the DRS and the battery. And, well, the battery, Alex. I don't think he's listening. He's too concentrated on Nigel ahead. They've come together quite a few times this season in battles. Of course, Jean right now is still within a second of Becky. We have fights unfolding all over this grid. One to talk about, Yoda on the medium compound tires. Mikcow, he's in 8th position now as a result of all of those pit stops, and a good portion of those drivers all jumping onto the hard compound tires here. You got Rackety. He jumped onto another set of reds. He's on some softs.
And so he's obviously going to have to pit again. I don't think the rain will be coming that soon, so all those guys on the hards probably just trying to stick it out until the rain is forecast. That's if the rain comes at all at this rate. Still clear skies at the moment. We are only on lap 7 of 36. If you're just joining us, this is MRL Season 3 action. We are here for round 11 in Spielberg, Austria, around the illustrious Red Bull Ring. Chenjay now starting lap 8 of this race. Alex Bitto still hanging on to that DRS. Nigel has a little bit more battery though, so Bitto having to use a bit more resources to stay with them. Freeware and Summit also doing their best to stay with them as well. Then we have Zamis in P6, sort of on his lonesome custom in P7, who's just picked up a 3-second time penalty, with Yoda in the McLaren as the first of the medium runners is in P8 right behind him.
Yeah, BTFU looking at Fubar. We just saw Becky dispatch John, and it's BTFU on Fubar around the outside, perhaps coming through turn 3. Fubar holding that inside. BTFU with good traction on his mediums. It's a battle of the mediums right now, and BTFU in that Renault holding the outside line, coming down into turn 4. Freeware getting on the brakes and just giving space as much as he can, but will he have a good exit is a good question. BTFU has a little bit of a wheel tap in the gravel there. John and Becky still exchanging.
Yeah, John using that DRS to full effect. Becky now down into 16th place, but you have to worry about Swifty behind. If they battle too much, Swifty's going to catch, Remco Van Poon's going to catch, and Rackety on those fresh softs is also going to catch Strip.
Yeah, we're having one heck of a race unfold in front of us here. There's a ton of different strategy on the table now as a result of that VSC. Yoda within half a second of Custom right now in this hunt for P7, and he just coasted through turn 1, but it wasn't enough to get the traction back, because he had a big slip through there, and Henners is looking at him real hard in that Haas behind in P9.
Yeah, that one slip up from Yoda is all that Henry needed. He's now back in that DRS range. DRS super, super important here. You have those 3 DRS zones as I was talking about in the pre-show. Very, very important to stay with the car ahead of you. And if you want to have any chance of overtaking or having a solid race time, you need that rear wing to open in those 3 DRS zones.
Absolutely fantastic racing, and something to talk about is Some Idiot and his hunt for freeware. Big question is, when are these drivers going to begin rolling through the pit stops on those softs? Some Idiot, half a second to freeware. Could we see an undercut out of Mr. Some Idiot here?
So the undercut certainly is very, very powerful here. The softs should still have a couple of laps left in them, but they certainly won't be feeling great at this stage. 9 laps on them already, and these guys from the top 10 did do their qualifying runs on them as well. So, like I was saying, they have a bit of life left. They can do a couple more laps, but they won't be feeling great. As Yoda now on the inside of Custom, heading through turns 2 and 3. He's now up into P7. The mediums now definitely the fastest tire. Hopefully we'll be seeing BTFU and Fubar make their way closer to the grid as well. BTFU currently only 1.8 seconds behind on Hennes in P9. And ahead of them, Yoda just holding off Custom as best he can. He's now got Zamas as the next target on his hit list.
Yeah, this is just, it's hard to follow along with. Like, Fubar right now, he's on these 9-lap-old mediums. BTFU still within a second. We saw BTFU get the overtake around the outside turn 3 a couple laps ago. But Fubar's still sticking with him here, and the big question is, when are these mediums really going to push these drivers ahead on the soft runners? I think we got a couple of laps left. Some idiot right now is sticking so well with Freeware. Freeware, it's just a train. And the DRS, as we've talked about now, so strong here around Austria, especially when you have a grid as compact and tight as we saw from these guys in quali.
Nigel seems to be putting on the pace a little bit, trying to break that 1 second gap. He's currently only 1.1 seconds behind the Alpha Tauri, in front of him is the Alfa Romeo. Alex Bitto and Freeway and Samir all sort of within that half-second mark of each other. You can see on the mini-map there, all the drivers forming into pockets as that's 2 drivers going side by side. That's BTFU and Fubar having a little bit of a battle as well into turn 4 once again.
Fubar doesn't want to let him go, and that DRS giving him the opportunity to really keep BTFU in his sights here. And now we have another exchange. It's going to be drivers jumping into the pit lane. Nigel and Alex have both blinked. Shenjay is still leading this race. His teammate makes it a 1-2 lead for the time being, and some idiot is into a provisional podium position there in third. Of course, those drivers yet to pit in this one, and a good chunk of the grid is starting to come in.
So Nigel and Alex both opting for the hard compound tires, so they can safely make it to the end of the race. Should the rain not be heavy enough. Custom, though, going on to the mediums. Could be quite a stretch from this stage of the race, but certainly possible. See what he's able to do. There's been so much action.
I keep forgetting about the rain. We're a third of the way through now, and we have had the word that there is going to be rainfall. It doesn't look like it, but according to the weather report, it's coming. Alex Bitto easily dispatching his teammate, perhaps team orders there coming into play.
And meanwhile, in the land of the hard, sorry to cut you off there, Striff, but in the land of the hard tires, it's Custom and Becky B fighting it out. Custom coming out of the pits on those fresh mediums amongst all the worn hards, of Becky B having a lot more pace. They're side by side heading through turn 4. Is a late
They've opened the door. Van Puten's through.
As well. Remco Van Puten will capitalize off that, making his way into 16th place, ladies and gentlemen. This is the fight that we're seeing for 15th on track at the moment, but it is as intense as it is for the lead. As a yellow flag in set 3, looks like Fubar making his way into the pit lane, so nothing to worry about there. But Becky B having an absolute steal. What a send from the Mercedes into turn 4.
Some idiot on the inside of Freeware into turn 3. They've both stuck it out on the softs once again here. Some idiot, I imagine, felt good about getting the German after what he pulled on the VSC restart. Real cheeky out of the German, but legal. So some idiot getting back into P2 ahead of the pit stop here. The big question is, who blinks first, Shenjay, some idiot, or Freeware? And what does Zamas do to respond 7.5 seconds at the rear?
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see. Zamas really struggling on those soft compound tires. Yoda has caught massive gains on those mediums. Those mediums still having quite a bit of life left in them. Not as much as they probably would have hoped, but certainly more than those softs will be having at the moment. It looks like Hennes is making his way into the pit lane from P6 as well. So BTFU will now take that position, and the top 4 are still staying outstrip.
Yeah, it's wild that they're sticking it out on those softs. Something to talk about. Van Putten looking real hard at Becky still. Custom, no. On the inside.
There's a tap. There's been a tap, and that's Custom into the wall. He's missing that front wing. We'll see if he's able to get that car going again. He needs to make sure he doesn't get disqualified for blocking the pit lane. That can be very, very easy. He's in a very awkward spot. He's able to get that car moving into the pit lane, but that was never going to end well. Custom was going so much faster than Remco in front of him.
Yeah, meanwhile, Alex Bido has caught up with Nigel. They're both on the hards. And Alex and him, it was a battle earlier for P2. Now it's even tighter than it was before.
Well, don't look now, Striff, but Shenjie, your race leader, has blinked. He is now in the pits, so that will allow some idiot to inherit the lead of this race. Freeware in the other AlphaTauri will inherit P2 in this. It looks like Yoda will get past them as well. Zamis following Shenjie into the pits, and they're both presumably going onto the medium compound tires. So if they're able to stretch themselves that long, medium should easily make it to the end of the race from here.
Yeah, and it is the call as a multitude of drivers, Mikkow. I've seen it all race long. That race control has been quite busy. Penalty after penalty after penalty, and that is something that is going to play a role here come the race finish with such a tight grid. Becky B and John through turn one. It looks like Becky B and John having a little bit of contact there. I don't know what happened, but when we came in through, it was John on the outside of the Mercedes on that runoff section, and now it's Becky very tight to the rear of Zamis as Zamis has just exited the pit lane on fresh medium rubber. He'll be looking to get temperature into those, but he's under threat.
He is under threat, Striff. That Mercedes is eyeing him down. Freeware now into the pits as well. Some idiot staying out at yet another lap. So not quite sure what his strategy is at this current stage. But yeah, Zamis starting to feel the pressure a little bit. Nigel as well, a bit further up the grid, trying to apply pressure to BCFU as he's now caught him. That DRS helping Nigel stay out of threat from Alex Bitter behind. Looks like Alex is having slightly better pace on the hards than he was in comparison to Nigel. But Nigel with the DRS looking down the inside, heading through turns 2, now into the hairpin of turn 3. He's able to get that move cleanly done, and Alex Bitter trying to make his way through as well. Mediums versus hards on the traction. Looks like Alex Bitter will get that move done as well. And he is right there with the Alfa Romeo. Gets very, very close to the rear. But it's nothing there. And Shenjie behind them on those fresh mediums. BTFU is going to lose out 3 positions in the space of 3 corners. And that is the AlphaTauri of Shenjie up into P5.
Beautifully done there. And something else we got to check in way further down the field. Hyper under major threat. That's Rackety on some fairly old soft compound tires at this point in time. Coming down into turn 4. Big lockup from the Ferrari on the inside. Is he going to be able to hold it? It's a wheel-to-wheel exchange between these two, and we're going to follow it as long as we can.
Rackety has his nose ahead. Striff, they're still side by side. What amazing racing between those two. No contact as of yet. Through turn 7 they go into turn 8. Hyper has his nose ahead. But Rackety using that battery to try and stay with him. They're still side by side heading into the final 2 corners of the circuit. But Hyper has that inside line. Rackety decides better of it and decides to back out of it for the time being.
It's getting cloudy. It's getting cloudy, Mikkow, and Shenjie has made the move on Nigel.
Well, he hasn't just yet, but those mediums certainly going to provide a lot more traction than those hards. So Shenjie now back up to P2 of this race, and Yoda on the 16-lap old mediums currently leading this race as some idiot has pitted, come out about half a second behind Freeware. So we'll see how that battle unfolds in the coming laps.
Remco's into the dirt. Remco's into the dirt outside of 5, and Swifty and Fubar, and that's Fubar in the dirt with him.
Oh no. You hate to see it.
Ooh.
That is quite the incident. Don't know if there's any damage on the Renault. Shenjie will set the fastest up the race so far.
Neither car has damage.
Doesn't look like it. They might have something...
oh, and he spun it. Fubar has done a 180 coming out of turn 7, and so has the Ferrari of Hyper.
Well, the drama is already kicking off halfway through this race, but meanwhile, Zamis and S-King battling it out for P7 at the moment. Into turn 3 they go. Zamis using that DRS to full effect, and those mediums, you can just see the extra traction coming out of there, and that's Fubar again spinning. at the exit of turn 9, so his race has gone from bad to worse, it would seem. But he's got that car moving again, which is absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, him and Hyper actually did a 180, and what on earth has happened now? Hyper, major issue coming outside of turn 1. That's going to be Fubar passing him by. You can see the car on the inside. A VSC has been deployed as a result, and that is very unfortunate to see the Ferrari out of this race. His teammate faring a little better. Alex Bido in P3 hunting down Nigel and Shenjay.
Yeah, well, that was a very, very short VSC. It already has been lifted. Yoda used the opportunity to go into the pits, as did Becky B.
Yeah, and talking
Becky
about
B
opportunity.
That.
Nigel under immediate threat from Alex Bido around the outside. What's the exchange going to go like? Nigel holding well in this fight for P2. The exit, I think, was compromised a little bit for Alex, but he has that DRS. Nigel doesn't, and it's around the outside for the Ferrari down into turn 4 for the moment. But Nigel holding real tight to the inside here, but it's a good exit from the Ferrari, putting him into second position.
That was amazing. That was Alex needed to make that move right there, and then Nigel seemed to be keeping him well at bay, but that VSC just gave him the opportunity that he needed. I'm watching to see if Zamis can do something similar in the opening laps. Yoda has come out just ahead of him on those fresh hards, but Zamis on 3-lap old mediums surely will have more pace at this stage of the race. We'll see what he's able to do. Only 4/10 the gap, but I wouldn't discount Nigel as well up the top as well. So we have lots of tight gaps to look at, as Brainstew is right on the back of Remco Van Putten down in 13th and 14th as well.
Yeah, it's absolutely wild how tight all of the racing has been around the race in the Red Bull Ring here so far. Nigel with a move on the inside of Alex Bido. He's going to take that position back. A little bit of contact there from Alex. He maintains that front end plate. It's Nigel through back into second, and it's been some idiot ahead of Freeware as well into 4th position. And now Zamis with the move on the inside of Yoda, and we've just had a massive amount of switches through turn 3 on this 20th lap. Overtake after overtake, and these drivers are not giving anyone any opportunity to breathe. Remco Van Putten and Brainstew now have exchanged.
Custom also has had an issue at the apex of turn 8. He seems to have spun at the exit of 7 heading into 8. So he's got that car moving once again, which is what you love to see. But he has fallen a lap down. Zamis now in this fight for 6th place. S-King and Yoda on those hard combat tires, both trying to eye him up. Currently 3/4 is the gap between all 3 of them at the moment. We'll see S-King pushing very, very hard through that final corner. DRS open. Zamis is very, very low on battery. He won't have that rear wing opening either, as he is the car leading this train. We'll see if Yoda is going to power, so he's just going to bide his time for a little bit. S-King not looking too hot on the battery front either. But we have these pockets forming once again, Striff, so I don't know where to keep my eyes. You have to help me here, buddy.
It's absolutely wild right now with all of the action. You have Becky super tight to the rear of Astrodite coming out of turn 1 in this fight for 15th position, overtaking DRS in full activation, and he just breezes by Astrodite with the 4-lap difference on the mediums.
I'm just trying to keep my eye on Yoda, and also this fight for P2 at the moment. Actually, looks like Alex Bido's had a bit of a connection issue. He's ghosted inside of Some Idiot at the moment. Some Idiot trying to do his best to stay with him. Alex Bido using that battery, using that overtake to full effect just to try and stay ahead. Still 8/10 in it between him and Nigel, but Freeware and Some Idiot on those mediums to see, trying to make a move. Looks like Some Idiot picking that outside line for turn 3. He's gotten that move clearly done before the braking zone, and Freeware's going to be looking to do the same. Striff?
Freeware with a good exit right now. We're on with him. He's on the mediums. He's moved ahead of Alex, and he's got that DRS. Alex has the DRS as well. Some Idiot's caught up with Nigel, and we have a massive train for P2 and 3 at the moment. And right now it's being led by Nigel with Shenjay 3.2 seconds ahead on the medium compound tires, but this is a serious train for major points.
Yeah, Yoda as well. Still staying with Zamis, which is no easy task given the tire difference. So he's doing very well there, currently sitting in 7th. But all this fighting for P2 is just doing absolute wonders for Shenjay. He's able to just put his head down, put the laps in that he needs, and as long as these guys fight as hard as they are, he will pull the gap that he needs.
Yeah, he really wants it as well. Considering Yoda's position in the standings, this could be big for him. Yoda in 7th right now, not going to be happy about that in comparison to his championship rival for this occasion. Some idiot less than half a second on the rear of Nigel now. He's going to have that DRS coming down into turn 4, but he's also got Freeware and Alex Bido right behind him. He's going to have to pick and choose his moments carefully here, because if he has a failed attempt, it could result, as we've already seen through this race, in a loss of position to the drivers so tight to the rear of him, as BTFU and Swifty are having an exchange through turn 3. Ooh, neatly done from these two drivers. No contact there, and it was very clean exchange as BTFU moves through into 11th on the fresher hards.
Looks like Custom is trying to unlap himself as well. He's made his way past Becky B in turn 3. But there's side-by-side behind them with Becky B and Aphrodite. Aphrodite looking around the outside of turn 4 in this fight for 15th place. But he locks up slightly, and Becky B able to capitalize off that one and hold off the Haas for the time being.
Really careful there between these
look
two.
now,
Some idiot on the outside of Nigel. They're wheel-to-wheel through turn 3. Eyes wide open for this one as Nigel with a great exit, but is it enough to hold off the Racing Point? It doesn't look like it's going to be, but he's going to have the DRS, which could just carry him through. He's not utilizing that battery. Some idiot now. They're both locking up through turn 4. Some idiot with a great exit on those mediums, though. Getting that second position done.
Yeah, so that's the Racing Point now up into P2. What an absolutely fantastic move. Using those yellow stripe medium tires to full effect, just giving him so much more grip compared to Nigel in that Alfa Romeo. And now Freeware's going to be looking to do the same. He can't let somebody get too far away. Otherwise, that is going to be curtains for P2 in this race. Custom picking up a 5-second time penalty for ignoring blue flags. And Fubar and the other Racing Point has had an off at turn 8.
Fubar has not been having a good time in that car today, and he's really struggling to get it back on circuit. He's got to be careful here. There's a 3-second time penalty being awarded to Mr. King in the Williams. And now it's Becky B tight to the rear of Van Putten. Coming down through the penultimate turn. He's made the move on the inside, but it's a big amount of curb on the exit though, Mick, but it looks like no penalties being awarded. Definitely a possibility of a warning. And I'd say he got off lucky with that.
He was carrying a lot more speed than Remco in front of him. Remco running a little bit wide through turn 1 though. That's going to compromise his run, so no counterattack as of yet, but he has to worry about Aphrodite behind him. Currently half a second separating each driver systematically, it would seem. Remco Van Putten now closing that gap to 3/10. Becky B trying to do all he can to catch up to Custom in front of him, trying to get some slipstream and DRS off the lap traffic. But this train for P2 strip, it's still going.
I don't think it's going anywhere anytime soon either. All of these drivers, I think, are on till the end, and it's a big question of what's going to happen between these racers on the hards and the mediums with 10 laps remaining in this race. Remco Van Putten, 18-lap old mediums, Mikcow. 19 for the hards of King.
I think all of them were anticipating the rain to come a lot sooner than it seems to be coming. I don't think it'll be coming in this race at all at this rate.
Yeah, it's coming very slowly here. I mean, we're seeing the clouds develop extremely slow, and who knows, maybe it won't come at all. Maybe there's been a change. You never know.
The weather forecast is never 100% accurate. Brain Stew now on those fresh sauce, setting the new fastest up the race with a 1 minute 4.5. But it is the train for second where we should keep all of our eyes on. Some idiot using those memes as much as he can to pull away. It's currently 7/10 between him and Nigel in third. Freeware hasn't been able to close up as much to Nigel as he probably would have hoped. Nigel with that DRS is staying around that 6th, 7th, 10th gap between himself and Freeware. Alex Bido trying to do his best to hang on to this DRS train as well. And we're not going to look at the penalty situation because that will be an absolute mess.
Yoda, meanwhile, he's caught up real close with Zamis Mikcow. I think he's going to get P6 into turn 3 here. He has a real nice line through turn 1. A little bit of that exit curb. Possible warning, not entirely sure, but he's got that DRS on the rear wide open with the overtake being utilized barely here. And he's just being patient. And Zamis not nearly as much battery in reserve as the Albanian championship leader in the McLaren at all right now.
And you were saying it on the grid during this formation lap. Maybe they don't want a repeat of last season. But meanwhile, a bit further down in this battle for 14th, looks like Aphrodite on Remco Van Pooten. Aphrodite trying to look at this left-hand side. The outside, there's a little bit of contact. The hand goes up in frustration, but Remco Van Pooten defending with all that he's got left. Remco Van Pooten will get the DRS though. He was behind at the detection point. So he will hold on to P14 for what seems to be another lap. But Aphrodite really putting the pressure on.
Aphrodite doesn't want to let go of Remco here, and Remco has been a driver we've seen all season long in and amongst club division and the various races he's participated in to stretch tires outrageously long. And he's 20 laps now on these mediums.
Oh, that's true, bro. I saw a racing point go off at turn 3 in the middle of the train, and I got a bit scared there.
There it is, Yoda. I was a lap behind, or a lap ahead perhaps, when I called it on the move into turn 3, but Yoda has now dispatched Zamis ahead, and he is on fresher rubber, the hards albeit, but he is on the fresher rubber. And something to talk about is still this battle with Aphrodite and Van Pooten. They're coming out of turn 1, stopping through turn 2. It's the Haas on the outside. Remco Van Pooten late on the brakes. Good lockup there from him though. Good lockup. Can you believe this? He's still holding 14th.
He is. He's doing very well. Fubar having another issue, would say, between the last 2 corners. A race to forget for Fubar, it would seem. But keep one eye on the skies, Trev. The clouds have suddenly come out, and with the 7 laps to go, this could be the rain. You could be seeing rain for like the last 3 or so laps. You don't know. But the clouds are here, and they're in full force right now.
So keeping an eye on this battle at the back, as we always say, it's for the bragging rights, not for points at the moment, but it definitely could be for the points for Aphrodite. Should there be some confusion as to what tires to be on, should that rain come down hard, I would really like to see it just come down like China. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, but Aphrodite trying to use all the speed that he has, that rear wing open. He's trying to hold it around the outside. Remco Van Pooten defending like he did the lap previous. Aphrodite getting a little bit squirrely there on the exit. That's not going to help him. Remco Van Pooten having that DRS.
Oh, that's just really hurting. Oh, with a big snap to the inside, though, from Aphrodite. What a move it's been from him, and he might have caught Remco off guard. How's the exit going to go? He's on the outside coming down through turn 6.
Oh, there's a little bit of wheel banging. They're still side by side. Aphrodite having his nose ahead. He has to leave the room for Remco, though, and Aphrodite is through.
Oh, my, what a move.
But don't look now. Brainstew on those fresher softs is right on their rear as well.
Oh, and Van Pooten's just stepped in it now. He's taking a 3-second time penalty on the exit curb, coming through out of 9. Brainstew on the inside, up the pit lane, and it's time. These tires get retired here because Brainstew on those softs is about to take 2, Mikcow. He's gone after Aphrodite just the same. Could we see it up into turn 3? He's got a great carry of speed. Aphrodite holds to the inside as he's just had Remco Van Pooten do to him, but is it going to be enough? Nowhere near enough, and it's going to be Remco back on Aphrodite. A little bit of contact there. Aphrodite getting a little bit of a slide. Remco Van Pooten, and what racing we're seeing here out of these 3 on lap 31.
For 0 points, no. This is purely bragging rights at this point. Aphrodite within that 10th, eyeing down that Renault in currently the 14th position.
Nigel, meanwhile, less than half a second behind some idiot, and I think the rain is starting to come down here. I think I see drops starting to slowly trickle onto the onboard.
I'm not seeing any just yet, but the clouds are certainly very, very gloomy.
Aphrodite has a big kick out of the final inside curbing here. He's lost a massive amount of time to Remco Van Pooten here, and he's not going to be happy about that because Remco has just been holding on these massively worn tires. Now, we saw a couple drivers, or at the very least we saw one driver in Tier 2 take a puncture on mediums at the end of the race. We'll have to see what Remco Van Pooten does about this. He is really holding hard for rain here. And he continues to hold that inside.
He's committed to that strategy now. Let's see what he's able to do as Chenjay and the leaders have started lap 32 of 36. The clouds are here, but the rain isn't here just yet. And at this point, I don't know if it will be worth it to pit onto intermediates, even if it does start bucketing it down. We'll see what these drivers choose to do if the rain comes at all. But meanwhile, Nigel, in his fight for P2 in this race, is closing up. Those mediums on the racing point starting to give in a little bit. Those hards providing a little bit more grip. I think we're at the crossover between these two compounds. Striff, as Nigel is really putting on the pressure.
Those hards, 19 versus 14. It's going to be 20 versus 15 in a second here, and we've already had a couple drivers come into the pit lane. King has made the call for soft compound tires. You can see Fubar's on some softs. Jean has now taken the fastest lap of the session, as it looks like there was an exchange between Swifty and Becky B into turn 3.
Oh, here it is, Striff. I'm seeing the first few drops just riding on board with Nigel as they start lap 33 of 36. The rain has started to fall. I don't know if it will be enough for intermediates for the rest of this race, but certainly along with the tire wear, there's going to be little to no grip out there for these drivers. So it's all pure skill now, and see how well they can hold their position to keep the car on the road for the last few laps of this race.
Doing a superb job right now, all of these drivers, to stay clean, Mikcow. It's been a very good race, I have to say. Yoda right now ahead of Zamis. Zamis on a charge, trying to catch up with that McLaren. Less than half a second the gap right now. Zamis utilizing that battery. We're on lap 33 out of 36, and these drivers all going to be fighting down to the last minute, the last tenth, the last hundredth, the last millisecond here, Mikcow, as he looks to around the outside. Yoda, a solid defense around the inside of 4 through turn 5 now.
Yeah, the racing isn't over yet, Striff. The grip might be gone, but the racing certainly hasn't. Zamis there proved my point there with a little bit of a snap through the exit of turn 6. And he's really struggling to stay on the back with Yoda here. Just trying to find where the grip is. There's very little of it. Going through turn 9 is probably really scary at this point. He gets another snap through the exit of turn 10, so it's just a challenge to keep it on the road. But another challenge that some idiot has is that he has this Alfa Romeo of Nigel right on his rear.
There's been an issue with King. He's spun it.
That he has. Yeah, he's dropped all the way down the yard. He's now down into 14th place. Astrodyne taking that place away from him. And Fubar's gone off once again.
Keeping it parked on some idiot Nigel, though, in this fight for P2. It's a very tough battle, and this fighting is going to cost them because Freeware isn't too far behind. But the big question is, what is the pace difference in these tires at the moment? And I don't know, but it's looking like these hards got more.
So looking like these hards have got a tiny bit more grip. But in the rain, I think that's pretty much neutralized. All these drivers struggling a lot. You can just see the lap times are plummeting down. As that's Swifty, I think, having a bit of an issue. No, that's Zamis. Zamis has spun it at turn 8, so he is completely lost to Yoda now. He has to worry about Henry behind him in this battle for 7th. We are on the penultimate lap of this race, Striff. Nigel's still 2 tenths behind some idiot in this fight for P2. And there are battles going on all over the grid at this point. DRS is still on. Freeware and Alex Bitto holding on to that DRS. BTFU within 7 tenths of Henry for P8, and Brainstew within 2 tenths of Swifty for P11.
It's just a lot of intense battling. We've seen so much overtaking here. Some idiot right now still in a good defense against Nigel. We've got a yellow flag through sector 3, just on the exit of sector 2, and that's going to be a run out. That looks like... Well, who was that then? Remco Van Puten's had an issue on those mediums, and I think it was a puncture. Gonna check in with him.
Oh,
it is.
Remco's right in the middle of the road there, and we're trying to make his way back to the pits. Somebody's run completely into the back of him. He's lost his wing. Nigel's now through for 2nd. Freeway's through for 3rd. Alex Bitter into 4th, and some idiot on the final lap of this race has lost basically all chances of being on that podium.
Well, some idiot took damage. He's missing a front left end plate there. And I have to say, it was a back right puncture on that Renault. And he was in the pit entry lane there. And it's very unfortunate that that has happened here on the penultimate lap as we move through. Shenjay coming down turn 4, leading this race on lap 36. Mikcow, he's looking to inherit another race win here in the Tier 1. Freeware,
We don't know how
very tight to Nigel.
It is. So it's going to be a game of roulette. Who's kept it cleanest? Chenjay looking in a very strong position, though. Currently 4.3 seconds ahead as he's making his way through the start of Sector 3 for the final time in this race. Freeware 5/10 behind Nigel as they make their way towards the line. BCFU making the move on Henry as well in that final DRS zone. Alex Bitto right on the back of some idiot as well. Alex Bitto going down the inside of turn 9. Chenjay coming across the line will take the win of this race. Nigel not being affected by penalties. Freeware gets a few penalties. Some idiot will reclaim his podium on the basis of penalties. Alex Bitto coming across the line in 5th. Yoda will come across the line in 6th place. How's the penalty situation? No, he will stay in P6. Zamis will bring that Red Bull car home into P7 at the team's home race. BTFU 3 seconds behind him will come across the line in P8 on track. How's the penalties going to be, though? Looks like he'll jump Zamis.
Oh, and Henrys has jumped both of them into 7th.
Wow, so Henrys will pick up some points. Brainster will pick up some points as well. Becky B in P11.
There's a battle between King and Swifty to the line. King getting Swifty on penalties, and you can see the differential there, 500ths at the line. John's race is finished. Astrolite is 15th, and it has just been a very, very long campaign here in Fubar. Not having a good time here at all in that racing point.
No, Fubar really, really struggling. A race to forget for the German. But for everybody else, what a race, especially from here. It's been a crazy, crazy one. This race basically had everything you could hope for. Just if the rain could come maybe 5 laps earlier, that would have been nice. But I'm not complaining.
No, definitely not complaining. Shenjay with the win. That's Nigel in P2. And some idiot collecting that very much deserved, hard-fought podium. He was on fire today. Shenjay with a very much deserved win as well. And all 3 of the podium finishers today, just spectacular races from them. Great pace shown throughout. And, well, I believe all 3 of these guys have seen wins here for the Misfits. Actually, is that true in some idiot's case? I know Shenjay and Nigel have both won now.
I believe some idiot won Monaco, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
But I could be wrong on that one.
Can't remember for the life of me now. No. I believe Becky B won Monaco. I think Becky B won Monaco. Anyway, what a race it was. Shenjay with the win. Nigel in 2nd. Some idiot rounding out your podium from 5th to 3rd. It was, of course, Shenjay and Nigel that started on the front row. They didn't really move far, did they? Freeware from 4th to 4th. And you have Bitto. He dropped back a couple slots. He's not going to be too thrilled on that one. Yoda with a good drive from 11th to 6th. Henners from 17th to 7th. What a nice drive from him. 12th to 8th for BTFU. Brainstew 18th to 9th. Zamis from 9th to 10th. He's lost 1 slot. And Becky B's dropped off a place as well. He started in 10th and he's dropped into 11th. King in 12th. Swifty 13th. That's John in 14th. You have Astrolite 15th there. Rackety in 16th. Remco Van Putten in 17th. Custom 18th. Fubar 19th. And Hyper unable to finish this one after a very, very long 36-lap campaign in Austria.
Tier 1 never disappoints, Striff.
No, it definitely hasn't.
Tier 1, very, very competitive grid. Lots of hard-fought, clean racing, and a bit of drama here as well. And if Austria was like this, Silverstone, whew, I am excited for that one next week.
Oh yeah, Silverstone, all of the circuits that we have coming up in the 2nd leg of the calendar. Now we have finished round 11. We move on through round 12 up into 22. And I'm just super pumped for all the racing that we've got coming up. Of course, that is it for us, Mikcow. Any last comments for our lovely viewers before we head on over and rate a member of the F1 stream community?
Nothing much from me. Just be sure to tune in to the last race around Austria tomorrow for the club division at 8 p.m. BST. And we hope to see you guys next week in full force once again next week for Silverstone.
Yep, for sure, for sure. Of course, guys, Thanks a lot for watching. If you enjoyed the race, hit that follow button. We are going to be live once again tomorrow at 2 p.m. CDT. That's 8 p.m. BST for those in the UK, for MRL Club Division to round out the 5th and final race for our Austrian Grand Prix race week here for Misfits. We hope you enjoyed the stream. It's all going to be on YouTube in a shortened highlights video as well. And my name's Strifium. Joining me as always was Mikcow, and we're going to jump on into the outro, and we're going to rate a member of the community in just a second. So don't go too far until we go and raid. All right, guys, thanks a lot, and we'll see you tomorrow.